The knife slips, nearly taking my finger with it. Teaching diving feels safer than this cooking class, but here I am, fumbling with a bell pepper in Cape Coral Culinary Institute. The October breeze drifts through the windows, carrying salt air from the nearby Gulf. "You might want to curl those fingers under," a voice says beside me. I turn to find striking blue eyes watching my chopping technique. My new cooking partner, as assigned by Chef Martinez, introduces herself as Autumn Cooper. "Lucy Evans," I manage, trying not to stare at her effortless knife work. And yes, I clearly need help with this whole cooking thing. The kitchen buzzes with activity as 16 students pair up at stainless steel workstations. Chef Martinez's voice booms across the room. "Today's challenge: authentic Spanish paella. Partners will work together for the next 3 hours." "I can show you a better grip," Autumn offers, stepping closer. Her hands ghost over mine, adjusting my fingers on the knife handle. The scent of her lavender shampoo mingles with the saffron and garlic already perfuming the air. We fall into an easy rhythm, Autumn showing me proper techniques while I share stories about my diving adventures. She listens intently, though I notice her tense slightly at water-related tales. "Not a swimmer?" I ask, stirring the rice as it absorbs the rich seafood stock. "More like terrified of deep water," she admits, adding perfectly seared shrimp to our paella. Childhood incident, never quite got over it. The afternoon light streams through the windows, catching on her black hair as she leans over our creation. Something stirs in me, a feeling I haven't experienced in years. "This is actually turning out well," I say, trying to focus on the food. "Thanks to your expertise. You're a quick learner." Her smile reaches those captivating eyes. "Though I'd love to see you in your element sometime. Teaching diving." I nearly drop the wooden spoon. "Really? Even with the water fear?" "Maybe it's time to face it." She shrugs, but I catch the slight tremor in her voice. "With the right instructor." The timer chimes, breaking our moment. Chef Martinez begins his rounds, sampling each team's efforts. When he reaches our station, his eyebrows rise appreciatively. "Perfect balance of flavors," he declares. "The rice, just right. You two work well together." We share a glance, both knowing it's true in more ways than one. As we clean our station, I gather my courage. "I could help you with the water thing," I offer. "Baby steps, no pressure." Autumn pauses, dishcloth in hand. The kitchen is nearly emptied, leaving us in a bubble of possibility. "I'd like that," she says softly. Walking to the parking lot, we exchange numbers. The Gulf breeze carries hints of an approaching storm, and I can't shake the feeling that my life is about to change. All because of a cooking class and a woman afraid of water. In my car, I catch myself smiling at the paella leftovers on the passenger seat. Something has shifted, as subtle as the turning of tides, but just as powerful. I start the engine, already looking forward to our next class, knowing this is just the beginning. 2 weeks after our first cooking class, I find Autumn standing hesitantly at the edge of my private beachfront pool. The morning sun glints off the water, casting dancing reflections across her face. She's wearing a simple black swimsuit that makes my breath catch. "We'll start here," I say, keeping my voice steady. "The pool's safer than the ocean for beginners." Autumn nods, but her fingers grip the pool edge until her knuckles turn white. I slide into the water, letting it envelope me like an old friend. "Trust me?" I ask, extending my hand. She takes a shaky breath. "I haven't told anyone this before, but I nearly drowned when I was 12. Family vacation in Hawaii." The confession hangs between us like morning mist. I stay silent, letting her continue. "My parents were arguing on the beach. I wandered too far into the waves." She wraps her arms around herself. "A lifeguard pulled me out." "We'll go at your pace, I promise. No pressure, no judgment." Finally, she takes my hand. Her skin is warm despite the morning chill. I guide her down the steps, feeling her grip tighten with each inch of submersion. "Tell me about your latest recipe," I suggest, trying to distract her. "The one you mentioned in class yesterday." She latches onto the topic, describing a complex pasta dish while we slowly wade deeper. By the time the water reaches her waist, her voice has steadied. "Now for the fun part," I say, positioning myself behind her. "Let's try floating." Autumn tenses. "I don't think I can." "You can." I place one hand beneath her back. Lean back against my arm, I won't let you sink. Her trust in me makes my heart race. Slowly she reclines until she's horizontal, her black hair spreading like ink in the water. Her eyes remain tightly shut. You're doing it, I whisper. Open your eyes. She does, gasping softly at the sky above. I'm floating. You are. My free hand accidentally brushes her shoulder, sending shivers through both of us. We spend the morning like this, working through basic techniques. By noon, she's doggy paddling across the shallow end, laughing despite her fear. Later, we sit on the pool edge, feet dangling in the water. The Florida sun has painted her cheeks pink. Thank you, she says softly. For understanding, for not pushing too hard. I turn to respond and find her face inches from mine. Time seems to stop. Her eyes drop to my lips, then back up. The chlorine-scented air grows thick with possibility. I lean in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She doesn't. Our lips meet in a gentle kiss that tastes of pool water and promise. Her hand finds my waist, pulling me closer. When we part, her eyes remain closed for a moment longer. A smile plays at the corners of her mouth. I should go, she whispers, but makes no move to leave. Stay for lunch, I offer. I could use help making those lemon garlic shrimp you taught me. She agrees, and we head inside, both pretending not to notice how our hands keep finding excuses to touch. As I watch her move around my kitchen with familiar ease, I realize I'm in dangerous territory. Because teaching Autumn Cooper to swim might just mean drowning in feelings I'm not ready to face. But watching her slice lemons with practiced grace, humming under her breath, I think maybe drowning wouldn't be so bad, not with her as my lifeline. Autumn's progress in the water amazes me. After 3 weeks of lessons, she's mastered the basic strokes and even ventures into the deep end without panic. Today she suggests something that makes my heart skip. Teach me to dive, she says over coffee on my beachfront patio. I want to see your world. The setting sun paints her skin golden. Are you sure? It's a big step from swimming. She nods, determination sparking in those blue eyes. I trust you, Lucy. We spend the afternoon going over basic diving theory. Autumn absorbs everything with the same focus she applies to perfecting recipes. When evening falls, neither of us wants to end the day. Stay for dinner? I offer. I've got fresh grouper from yesterday's dive. Thunder rumbles in the distance as we cook together. Our kitchen dance has become familiar. She seasons while I sear, our bodies moving in practice synchronization. The storm hits just as we finish eating. Lightning illuminates the darkness beyond my windows, and the power flickers once, twice, then dies. Damn, I mutter, fumbling for my phone's flashlight. Leave it, Autumn says softly. I like the dark. Lightning flashes again, highlighting her silhouette on my couch. I find my way to her, guided by memory and the electric tension between us. Tell me about diving, she whispers. What's it like down there? I describe the weightless feeling, the peace of breathing underwater, the colorful fish darting through coral forests. My hand finds hers in the darkness. It's like being in another world, I say. Everything slows down. Nothing exists except that moment. Like this? Her voice is barely audible above the rain. Yes. I lean closer, drawn by the scent of her perfume mixing with the storm-charged air. Exactly like this. Her lips find mine in the darkness, tentative at first, then with growing confidence. Unlike our first poolside kiss, this one deepens, carrying us into uncharted waters. We make love to the rhythm of the storm, discovering each other with the same patience I've used to teach her swimming. Every touch, every whispered word builds like waves approaching shore. Later, tangled in sheets and moonlight, Autumn traces patterns on my skin. I never expected this, she confesses. When I signed up for that cooking class, life's full of surprises. I kiss her shoulder, like a chef who's afraid of water. Was afraid, she corrects me. Now I can't wait to dive. Morning finds us planning her first real diving expedition. Over coffee and toast, we discuss equipment and locations. Her enthusiasm makes me smile. This is a different woman from the one who trembled at the pool's edge. There's a beautiful reef just offshore, I tell her. Perfect for beginners. When can we start? Soon. I capture her hand across the table. But first, you need proper certification. She pulls me in for another kiss, tasting of coffee and possibilities. Then let's get started. As we begin reviewing diving manuals, I catch myself watching her more than the pages. Something is building between us, as vast and deep as the ocean itself. It should terrify me, this free fall into feeling. Instead, I find myself hoping we never hit bottom, because with autumn, every depth feels like home. The weekend arrives with perfect diving conditions, calm seas and clear skies. Autumn has completed her pool training, and I've planned a special beach diving session to celebrate. What I haven't planned for is the shadow from my past walking down the beach. Looking good, Lucy. The voice hits me like a splash of cold water. Mark Stevens, Autumn's ex-boyfriend, saunters toward us as we set up our gear. Autumn freezes beside me, her hands stilling on her wetsuit zipper. What are you doing here? Can't a guy enjoy the beach? He grins, all white teeth and practiced charm. Nice suit, by the way. I step between them, professional mask firmly in place. We're in the middle of a lesson. Since when do you teach diving? His eyes narrow, taking in the scene. Last I heard, you were experimenting with cooking classes. The word experimenting drips with meaning. Autumn flinches slightly. People change, Mark. Her voice carries a strength I haven't heard before. Some of us grow up. He laughs, but there's an edge to it. Come on, Autumn. Remember our diving trip to the Keys? Those were good times. Those times are over. She moves closer to me, our shoulders brushing. Please leave. The tension stretches like a fishing line pulled too tight. Other beachgoers glance our way, sensing the drama unfolding. Just looking out for you, Mark says, raising his hands in mock surrender. Wouldn't want you getting hurt, in any way. The threat hangs in the salt air. My jaw clenches, but I maintain my composure. The only person causing hurt right now is you. He takes a step forward, too close for comfort. You don't know anything about us. There is no us anymore. Autumn's voice doesn't waver. There hasn't been for a long time. The sun dips lower, painting the gulf in shades of orange and pink. Mark's shadow stretches across our dive gear like an oil slick. Fine, he spits. Have fun playing mermaid with your instructor. He emphasizes the last word with a sneer. We watch him stalk away, his footprints dark against the pale sand. Autumn's hands tremble as she adjusts her tank. Hey, I say softly, touching her arm. We can reschedule if you want. She shakes her head. No, I won't let him ruin this too. The sunset paints her face in golden light as she turns to me. You know that's not who I am anymore, right? That person he knew? I know exactly who you are. I help her secure her buoyancy compensator. You're the woman who conquered her fear of water, who makes the best paella in Cape Coral, who kisses me like breathing underwater. Scary at first, then natural as anything. She laughs, tension draining from her shoulders. Quite the poet for a diving instructor. Only with the right inspiration. I check her gauges one final time. Ready to show the fish your backstroke? We wade into the cooling water, leaving Mark's shadow behind. As we descend into the blue twilight world below, I watch Autumn's eyes widen with wonder behind her mask. Down here, past drama can't touch us. There's only the rhythm of our breathing, the dance of fish through coral, and the weightless space between us. Later, as stars begin to pepper the darkening sky, we rinse our gear in comfortable silence. The encounter with Mark feels distant, like something viewed through deep water. Thank you, Autumn says suddenly. For what? For seeing me, the real me. She leans against me, still damp from the dive. Not the person he tried to make me be. I pull her close, tasting salt on her lips. Above us, the first stars reflect off the gulf like scattered diamonds. Sometimes the best way to leave the past behind is to dive deep into the present. And right now, my present is perfect. I could have sworn I put them right here. I rifle through my dive bag for the 10th time, panic rising in my throat. We're 4 hours north of Cape Coral, in a tiny coastal town called Cedar Key, and my wallet is gone. Autumn helps me search the rental car, her movements growing more frantic. My purse is missing too, the whole thing. The reality crashes over us like a rogue wave. Somewhere between our last gas stop and this remote diving spot, we've lost everything. Credit cards, driver's licenses, cash, even our phones were in my waterproof bag. This can't be happening. Autumn slumps against the car. We can't even prove who we are. The sun beats down mercilessly as we retrace our steps along the coastal road. Each empty stretch of highway mocks our search. By late afternoon, exhaustion and defeat set in. We should find a police station, I suggest, though the thought of explaining our situation makes my stomach churn. A rusty pickup truck slows beside us. The woman behind the wheel has salt and pepper hair and kind eyes. You ladies look lost. We've lost our belongings, Autumn explains. All our ID, everything. The woman, Jackie Ramirez, as she introduces herself, listens to our story. Instead of suspicion, her weathered face shows only concern. Can't leave you stranded out here. She gestures to her truck. I've got a guest house behind my diner. Stay until you sort things out. We exchange glances. Every warning sign says not to trust strangers, but something about Jackie feels genuine. Plus, we're out of options. The diner turns out to be a weathered building overlooking the Gulf. Salt air has stripped most of its paint, but the neon Jackie's Place sign still glows proudly. It's not much, Jackie says, leading us to a small cottage behind the restaurant. But it's clean and safe. The guest house is tiny but tidy, with faded floral curtains and a view of the water. Jackie refuses our attempts to explain further. Everyone needs help sometimes, she says simply. Get settled, we'll figure things out tomorrow. When she leaves, Autumn and I stand in the middle of the room, the magnitude of our situation sinking in. What are we going to do? Autumn whispers. We can't even prove who we are to get new ID. I pull her close, feeling her trembling. We'll figure it out, together. I should be terrified, she says into my shoulder. Stranded in a strange town depending on a stranger's kindness. But with you here, I know. I stroke her hair, watching the sunset paint the Gulf orange through the window. It's like being underwater. Everything else falls away except what matters. She lifts her head, eyes shining. You matter. The kiss that follows tastes of fear and trust, desperation and hope. We cling to each other as darkness settles over the tiny town. Our world narrowed to this moment, this room. Later, lying on the narrow bed, we listen to waves breaking against the shore. Despite everything, there's a strange peace in having nothing except each other. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, Autumn muses. A chance to start fresh. You mean here? I prop myself up on an elbow. In this tiny town? She shrugs. Why not? It's beautiful, peaceful. And Jackie seems to need help at the diner. I consider the idea. Cape Coral feels distant now, like a previous life. Here, we could be anyone. Build something new. First things first, I say practically. We need to deal with our missing documents. Tomorrow. Autumn pulls me back down beside her. Tonight, just hold me. As she drifts off to sleep, I watch moonlight ripple on the water through the window. Sometimes losing everything means finding what you never knew you needed. And maybe, just maybe, this detour will lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Jackie wasn't joking about needing help at the diner. By our third day in Cedar Key, Autumn and I have fallen into a rhythm, me waiting tables while she works magic in the tiny kitchen. Order up! Autumn's voice carries over the lunch rush chaos. She slides a plate of perfectly seared grouper across the pass. Table 7's special. The regulars have already taken to her cooking. Old fishermen who've eaten the same bland fish for decades now linger over her herb-crusted creations. You're bringing life back to this place, Jackie tells us one evening as we count the day's earnings. She insists on paying us under the table until we sort out our documentation. More like Autumn is, I say, watching her experiment with a new seafood chowder recipe. I just carry plates. Don't sell yourself short. Jackie's eyes twinkle. I see how you handle the difficult customers, like that rowdy bunch at lunch. She's right, years of teaching nervous divers has given me patience for all types, though carrying plates feels safer than guiding people underwater. The dinner rush ends early in Cedar Key. As the sun sets, Autumn and I walk along the weathered pier, our feet dangling above the water. I got another letter started to the DMV today, she says, leaning against my shoulder. Maybe this time they'll believe us. They will. I kiss her temple, breathing in the scent of rosemary that clings to her hair. Eventually, a group of pelicans dive for their evening meal, breaking the water's surface with practiced precision. The sight stirs something in me. "Miss Diving?" Autumn asks, reading my thoughts. "Sometimes." I squeeze her hand. "But this isn't so bad." She turns to face me, silhouetted against the purple sky. "I've been thinking." Dangerous hobby. She swats my arm playfully. "I'm serious. What if we stayed, even after getting our IDs back?" The question hangs between us like sea mist. Below, waves lap at the pier's wooden legs with steady persistence. "Jackie mentioned selling the diner," she continues. "Said she's getting too old to run it alone." "Autumn Cooper, are you suggesting we buy a diner?" "Why not?" Her eyes shine with possibility. "We could combine our skills, diving tours in the morning, fresh seafood in the evening." The idea takes root, spreading like coral across my mind. We'd need money. We'd figure it out. She stands, pulling me up with her. "We're good at that." Walking back to our cottage, we pass Jackie's place. The neon sign flickers, warm and welcoming against the darkening sky. "Dance with me," Autumn says suddenly. "Here?" I glance around the empty street. There's no music. She hums a slow melody, pulling me close. We sway together under the stars, the Gulf breeze our only audience. "I love you," she whispers against my neck. The words feel as natural as breathing. "I love you too." The truth of it fills my chest like the rising tide. Later that night, curled together in our small bed, we plan our future in whispers. Dreams float between us like bioluminescent plankton, a renovated diner, diving lessons for tourists, Sunday brunches with fresh-caught fish. "We should probably get those IDs first," I murmur sleepily. "Details." Autumn's laugh vibrates against my chest. "We've got time." As she drifts off, I think about how losing everything led us here. To this tiny town, this cozy bed, this woman who smells of sea salt and possibility. Sometimes the current takes you exactly where you need to be. You just have to trust the flow. The crash of breaking plates shatters our peaceful morning routine at Jackie's place. Mark stands in the doorway, his presence as unwelcome as a hurricane. "So this is where you've been hiding." His words slur slightly, suggesting an early start with the bottle. "Playing house in this dump?" Autumn freezes behind the counter, coffee pot suspended mid-pour. The handful of early morning regulars watch with wary eyes. "You need to leave." I move between them, voice steady despite my racing heart. "This is private property." He laughs, bitter and hollow. "Private? Like those private swimming lessons?" "Mark?" Jackie's voice cuts through the tension. She emerges from the kitchen, dish towel in hand. "I know your daddy. Don't make me call him." "Call whoever you want." He staggers forward. "I just came to talk to my girlfriend." "Ex-girlfriend," Autumn corrects, finding her voice. "And I have nothing to say to you." The morning sun streams through the windows, catching the sweat on his face. He looks desperate, dangerous. "You think you can just change your whole life?" He gestures wildly. "Become someone else? It doesn't work that way." "Actually, it does." Autumn moves from behind the counter, standing beside me. "I'm not that scared girl anymore." "Because of her?" He spits the word. "She's turned you into something you're not." "No." Autumn's hand finds mine. "She helped me become who I always was." The diner has gone silent except for the gentle hum of the ceiling fans. Even the gulls outside seem to hold their breath. "You're confused." Mark takes another step. "Let me help you remember who you are." "Back off." My free hand clenches into a fist. He lunges forward, but years of handling emergency situations underwater have honed my reflexes. I sidestep, using his momentum to guide him away from Autumn. "You don't want to do this," I warn. "Already did." He grins, holding up a familiar wallet. "Found this by the highway. Figured you might want it back." Understanding dawns like a red tide. "You followed us, stole our things. Just wanted to protect you, Autumn." His voice turns wheedling. "From making a big mistake. The only mistake was ever trusting you." Autumn's words cut like coral. "Now give us back our property and leave." "Or what?" He dangles the wallet. "You'll call the cops? Report me with what ID?" Jackie steps forward, phone in hand. "Already did, son. They're on their way." His face contorts. In one fluid motion, he hurls the wallet toward the water through the open door. Autumn rushes out after it. I start to follow, but Mark blocks my path. She'll come to her senses eventually. No, she won't. I meet his gaze steadily. Because she finally knows what real love feels like. The punch comes fast, but I'm faster. Training takes over. A simple defensive move leaves him face down on the diner floor. Sirens wail in the distance as I run outside. Autumn stands at the pier's edge, wallet dripping in her hand. Got it. She smiles triumphantly. All those swimming lessons paid off. I pull her close, not caring who sees. Behind us, police cars pull up to Jackie's place. You okay? I whisper against her hair. Better than okay. She pulls back, eyes shining. I finally stood up to him, to my past. You did. Pride swells in my chest. You're the bravest person I know. Over her shoulder, I watch the officers lead Mark away. Jackie waves from the diner door, giving us a thumbs up. Think we can still salvage breakfast service? Autumn asks, already heading back. I catch her hand, marveling at her resilience. After this, we can do anything. The morning sun warms our backs as we return to the diner, stronger together than we ever were apart. The morning our new IDs arrive feels like breaking the surface after a long dive. Finally, we can breathe again. Look at these beauties. I fan the cards across Jackie's worn counter. Driver's licenses, credit cards, even our old library cards turned up in the evidence from Mark's apartment. Official citizens again. Autumn traces her name on the plastic, though I've gotten used to being nobody. Jackie refills our coffee cups, her movements slower these days. Speaking of being somebody, we need to talk. She settles into the booth across from us, hands wrapped around her mug. I'm selling the diner. Though we've discussed this possibility, hearing it spoken aloud makes it real. Autumn's hand finds mine under the table. Before you say anything else, Jackie continues, I want you two to have first refusal. My coffee cup freezes halfway to my lips. Jackie, we can't possibly. Let me finish. She pulls out a folder, weathered and stuffed with papers. I've watched you both these past months. Autumn's cooking has doubled our business. Lucy, you've brought in a whole new crowd with those weekend diving tours. She spreads the papers before us. Property deeds, business licenses, profit projections. I'm offering owner financing, low interest, reasonable terms. But why us? Autumn's voice wavers slightly. Jackie's eyes soften. Because you love this place like I do. Because you see what it could be. The morning light streams through salt-crusted windows, illuminating decades of memories trapped in these walls. Autumn and I exchange glances. We'd need to renovate, I say slowly. Update the kitchen equipment, Autumn adds. Add a proper dive shop out back. Maybe extend the pier. Jackie watches us with knowing eyes. So that's a yes? We spend the afternoon signing papers, our hands shaking with equal parts terror and excitement. By sunset, we're officially restaurant owners. I can't believe this is happening. Autumn stands at the pier's edge, watching pelicans dive for their dinner. A year ago, I was afraid of water. Now I own a waterfront diner. With a dive shop. I wrap my arms around her from behind. Don't forget that part. She turns in my embrace. Think we can really do this? Together? I kiss her softly. We can do anything. That night, we stay late, planning renovations. Autumn sketches kitchen layouts while I research dive equipment suppliers. Jackie watches from her usual spot, smiling like a proud parent. One condition, she says as we prepare to leave. Keep the name. Jackie's place? Autumn looks up from her drawings. It's got history. Jackie's eyes mist slightly. 25 years of stories in these walls. We'll add some new chapters, I promise. Later, lying in bed, Autumn and I whisper our dreams into the darkness. Plans for themed dinner nights, morning dive excursions, cooking classes for tourists. We should celebrate, she murmurs sleepily. Tomorrow, I suggest. Sunset dive at the reef. She props herself up on one elbow. You know what this means, right? That we're crazy? That we're home. Her smile glows in the moonlight. Really, truly home. As she drifts off to sleep, I think about the currents that brought us here, From a cooking class in Cape Coral to a diner in Cedar Key. From fear to freedom. From loss to love. Sometimes the best destinations are the ones you never planned to reach. The reef glows in the early morning light, 30 feet below the surface. Autumn hovers beside me, her buoyancy control now as natural as walking. 6 months of daily practice has transformed her into a confident diver. Ready for the advanced certification test? I signal with my hands. She gives me an underwater OK sign, bubbles streaming from her regulator. We descend deeper, where the real challenge awaits. I've spent weeks preparing this moment. The small waterproof box is secured to my BC, containing something precious. After 3 equipment checks this morning, I'm still nervous. Autumn leads the way, demonstrating perfect trim as we glide past coral formations. My heart swells with pride seeing her confidence. The terrified woman from that first pool lesson feels like a distant memory. We reach the training area, marked by a small anchor line. Here comes the tricky part. Emergency simulation, I signal. Equipment failure. She nods, ready for what she thinks is a routine test. I pretend to struggle with my regulator, pointing frantically at my gauge. Autumn responds perfectly, moving closer to share her alternate air source. Just as we practiced dozens of times. But when I reach for her spare regulator, I pull out the box instead. Her eyes widen behind her mask. Bubbles escape as she gasps. Inside the clear case, a ring catches the filtered sunlight. Simple, elegant, waterproof, perfect for a diving instructor. I hold up a slate with carefully prepared words. You've dived deep into my heart. Marry me? Time seems to stop. Fish dart around us, oblivious to this moment suspended between sea and sky. Then everything goes wrong. A strong current catches us off guard, spinning us away from the anchor line. The box slips from my grasp. Autumn reacts instantly, finning after it. But the current is stronger, pushing us toward deeper water. My training kicks in. I signal her to stop, to maintain position. Safety first, always. She ignores me. Terror grips my chest as I watch her chase the sinking box. She's going too deep, too fast. I follow, knowing the risks of rapid descent. The pressure builds in my ears. Autumn reaches for the box, now tumbling along the sandy bottom. 50 feet, 60. Her movements become erratic. Something's wrong. I catch up just as she fumbles with her buoyancy compensator. Classic signs of nitrogen narcosis, the rapture of the deep. Grabbing her BC, I inflate both our vests. We rocket toward the surface, the box forgotten in the depths. 20 feet from safety, her body goes limp. Please no. Not like this, not now. We break the surface near our anchored boat. I rip off her mask, check her breathing. Nothing. Time dissolves into a series of desperate actions, lifting her onto the boat, rescue breaths, radio for help. Don't you dare, I mutter between compressions. Don't you dare leave me. An eternity passes in minutes. Then she coughs, water spilling from her lips. The ring, she gasps when she can speak. I almost had it. Damn the ring. Tears mix with salt water on my face. I almost lost you. She reaches weakly for my hand. Ask me again. What? Ask me. Her voice is hoarse but determined. Properly this time. You nearly died. And I've never been clearer about anything. She struggles to sit up. Ask me. The Coast Guard helicopter appears on the horizon. Soon we'll be surrounded by medical personnel and incident reports. But right now, it's just us, rocking gently on the Gulf waves. I take her hand, my voice shaking. Autumn Cooper, will you marry me? Yes. She pulls me down for a salt-flavored kiss. But next time, maybe propose on dry land? The helicopter's rotors drown out my laugh, but nothing can diminish this moment. Later, the doctors will confirm she's fine, just a case of narcosis and exhaustion. The ring will remain a permanent offering to the Gulf, a small price for this second chance. Sometimes the best proposals don't go as planned, but then again, nothing about our love story has been conventional. The hospital room feels too bright, too sterile after the embrace of the ocean. Autumn lies against white sheets, an IV dripping fluids into her arm. Blood oxygen levels are normal, the doctor announces. No signs of decompression sickness, you're very lucky. Lucky doesn't begin to cover it. I haven't left her side since they admitted her. Memories of those terrifying moments underwater playing on repeat. When can I dive again? Autumn asks, ever resilient. The doctor raises an eyebrow. Let's focus on recovery first. But I know that look in her eyes. The same determination that conquered her fear of water won't let this setback define her. Once we're alone, she turns to me. I ruined your proposal. You survived. I kiss her forehead. That's all that matters. Still. She fidgets with her IV line. You planned this beautiful moment, and I'll plan another one. I settle beside her on the narrow bed, less life-threatening this time. A nurse brings dinner, hospital fish that makes us both laugh, remembering Jackie's fresh catches. Speaking of Jackie, Autumn says, she called. The contractor finished the new kitchen plans. Already thinking about work? Thinking about our future. She squeezes my hand. Nearly dying makes you appreciate what matters. 3 days later, we're back at Jackie's place. The regulars welcome Autumn with worried hugs and stern warnings about diving safety. I'm organizing delivery schedules when I hear plates clatter in the kitchen. Racing back, I find Autumn frozen, staring at something in her hand. Look what was in the grouper delivery. She holds up a small waterproof box. My heart stops. Is that? One of our suppliers found it in their nets. She opens the box with trembling fingers. The ring still sparkles despite its ocean journey. Don't move, I say. This time, I do it right. No complicated plans, no underwater theatrics. Just me, on one knee in our kitchen, surrounded by the smell of fresh bread and possibility. Autumn Cooper. My voice wavers. You've already said yes once, but I'd like to hear it again. On solid ground this time. She laughs through tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The ring slides perfectly onto her finger, as if the gulf itself approved our union. Jackie appears in the doorway, grinning. About time that ring came home. You knew? We ask in unison. Who do you think tipped off the fishing crew? She winks. Now, how about some engagement champagne? That evening, we close the diner early. Our regulars raise glasses as I tell the story, both versions of the proposal. To the worst diving instructor ever, Autumn teases, kissing me softly. To the most stubborn student, I counter. Later, walking the pier under starlight, she stops suddenly. I want to try again. The proposal? Pretty sure we nailed it this time. Diving. She faces me, serious now. I need to get back in the water. Autumn. Please. Her grip tightens on my hand. I won't let fear win. Not again. Looking at her in the moonlight, wearing my ring like a badge of courage, I understand. Some people run from their demons. Others dive straight toward them. Tomorrow, I promise, we'll start in the shallows. She smiles, relief flooding her features. I love you, Lucy Evans. I love you too. I pull her close, breathing in her familiar scent. Just promise me one thing? Anything. No more chasing shiny objects into the deep. Her laugh echoes across the water, a sound of pure joy and fearless love. A year passes like waves rolling into shore, steady, inevitable, beautiful. Jackie's place has transformed into something uniquely ours while keeping its heart intact. The morning sun streams through new windows as I prep for our first official diving class. The back room, once storage for old menus, now houses gleaming equipment and certification materials. First students arrive in an hour, Autumn calls from the kitchen. She's experimenting with a new seafood omelet for our breakfast menu. The diner has evolved into a perfect blend of our passions. Mornings bring diving lessons, afternoons fill with hungry tourists, and evenings welcome our loyal locals. Remember our first cooking class? I ask, wrapping my arms around her waist. How could I forget? She turns in my embrace. I was terrified of water then. Now she leads advanced diving tours twice a week. Her specialty, night dives, teaching others to find beauty in what once scared them. Jackie joins us for breakfast most mornings, though she insists on paying like any other customer. Today she brings news. Travel magazine wants to feature the place, she announces, settling into her usual booth. Says you're reinventing coastal dining. Autumn blushes at the praise. Her fusion of local seafood and global techniques has earned quite a following. They're interested in the whole package, Jackie continues. Diving, dining, the love story behind it all. What love story? I tease. Just a cooking student who couldn't swim. And a diving instructor who couldn't cook, Autumn retorts. Our regulars laugh from their usual spots at the counter. They've watched our story unfold, chapter by chapter. The breakfast rush begins, tourists heading out for diving lessons, locals starting their day with Autumn's famous crab Benedict. Between serving plates and adjusting equipment, I catch glimpses of our life together. Autumn teaching a young chef her secrets, me helping a nervous diver adjust their mask. We've created something unique here, a place where fear transforms into courage, where strangers become family. As sunset approaches, we close early for a special celebration. Our anniversary, though we debate which date to count from. The cooking class, the first swim lesson, the day we bought the diner. All of them, Autumn decides as we walk to our favorite spot on the pier. The Gulf stretches before us, painted in brilliant oranges and pinks. Below, fish dart through the pylons like memories through time. Happy anniversary, I whisper, holding her close. Which one? Every one. She turns to face me, her ring catching the fading light. Think we made the right choice? Staying here? I look back at our diner, where Jackie and our friends are setting up for dinner. Through the windows, I see our past year reflected, triumphs, challenges, endless possibilities. I think we made the only choice, I answer. The one that led us home. Behind us, someone calls that dinner's ready. We'll join them soon, raise glasses to another year of adventures. But for now, we stand together at the edge of the pier, watching the sun sink into the Gulf. The water that once separated us now connects everything we love. Sometimes the biggest risks bring the greatest rewards. Sometimes getting lost helps you find your way. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, a cooking class and a swimming lesson can change your entire world. The end.